Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's John Campia, and this is a companion video. And every day on the John Campia Show in the mornings and on Open Mic in the afternoons, we take live questions from the audience. But sometimes we don't have time to get to all the live questions that come in. No worries. I take all those questions that came in. We make sure they get answered in a video, and that's why we have these companion videos to get to all those questions we didn't have time for on the live shows. So, without wasting any time, let's dive right into it. And the first question we're going to get caught up on today comes to us from Sean G, who writes, "Good day, John. Good day, Sean. I love The Greatest American Hero. Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe it myself." Okay, anyway, I'm not going to ruin today's show with me singing. Anyway, where was the question? I love The Greatest American Hero as a kid. So did I, man. And I've heard that they are doing a reboot with the female lead. So do you know any info on when? Thanks, and keep bringing on the filthy from Oz. Well, thanks so much, Sean, for writing in. Here's what we know so far. First of all, Greatest American Hero was great. I just remember loving it. It's been a long time since I've seen The Greatest American Hero, but it was a superhero show. Weren't a lot of those when I was a child, you know. So, and of course, he was about this dude, just an average bumbling kind of dude, a nice guy, finds this alien suit that gives him superpowers. I can't remember all the superpowers, but the big highlight one was flight. And he could barely fly. Like, whenever he'd fly, his landings were terrible. Anyway. And of course, one of the greatest theme songs in television history. So, they announced about a year ago, maybe more, that they were looking at doing a Greatest American Hero show again. The time is right, I think. I think it's a good time for a show like that. And they said, but this time it's going to be a female lead, which is fine. Like the premise doesn't change, so that's fine. The last bit of news I remember hearing about Greatest American Hero, and there's a reason why it caught my attention, was back in February or March, so just a few months ago, they announced they cast their lead. And it's a girl, I think her name is Hannah Simone. Now, you may not recognize Hannah Simone's name, but you might recognize her face. She was the girl who played Cece in New Girl. Who's that girl? It's Jess. So she played Jess's supermodel best friend, Cece. And she's great in that show. And it's really funny because I enjoyed New Girl. I thought it was a pretty good show. There was one or two seasons that it got iffy, but other than that, it was a really solid show. I quite enjoyed it. And I thought Cece and Hannah Simone, if I'm remembering her name correctly, was fantastic in it. I thought she was great. And I didn't really ever think of her outside of New Girl. And then when I saw that her name was attached to Greatest American Hero, I thought, yeah, that's going to be great because she's beautiful, she's funny, she's super talented. I loved her on that show. And I think she's going to do a pretty good job. Now, as far as when such a show would come out, that I haven't heard anything about. But like I said, it was just a couple months ago that they announced who their lead is. So I'm going to expect probably sometime 2019 is when we're going to see it. But if I hear any more news, we'll definitely talk about it. Thanks for the question, Sean. All right, next one comes to us from Recruz, who writes, "John, has the Alien franchise lost all its magic? Also, congratulations on the nomination. Hope you win." Well, thank you so much, Recruz. For those, I'll self-plug here, whatever. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, let me bring this graphic over. You guys remember that back in the AMC days, we twice won IAW TV Awards. That's the Academy of Web Television. Back in 2014 and 2015. So we won Best News Series in 2014, and then we won Best Live Series in 2015. And I just found out last week that I have been, the John Campia Show has been nominated for 2 categories. We got a nomination for Best Live Series for the John Campia Show, and it got nominated for Best Host. Personally got nominated for Best Host, which is pretty cool. So anyway, the Academy of Web Television Awards are on August 24th. I don't think I have much of a chance of winning, but it really is just honor to be nominated. It's awesome. I'm very, very excited about it, especially since it's a little bit nostalgic that, you know, back in the AMC days, we won a couple of those awards. So it's pretty cool to get nominated for those days. So thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that. Now, as far as the Alien franchise goes, yeah, the Aliens franchise has lost. To be frank, though, and to be honest, the Alien franchise lost its magic after Aliens. Aliens, or Alien 2, as some people call it, Aliens was the last one that really had its magic. Aliens 3 certainly didn't. Nothing about Aliens versus Predator did. I didn't like Alien Prometheus. Alien Prometheus is a kind of a divisive film. There are a bunch of people who really do like it quite a bit, and then a bunch of people who don't. I happen to fall in the category of people that I didn't like Prometheus, to be honest with you. And Alien Covenant, I didn't mind Alien Covenant, but it clearly did not have... Actually, no, I kind of liked Alien Covenant. I did. I didn't think it was great, don't get me wrong, but I thought I kind of enjoyed it. Anyway, but it certainly didn't have that magic that the first Alien did or that Aliens did, for sure. And it seems like more and more the box office has been losing interest in the Alien franchise. So I'm going to say yes. Now, that's not to say that it can't recapture it in the future if for some reason some studio decides to take a crack at Aliens again. It could. But right now, I'll say, yeah, I'll agree with you, Recruits. I'll say that, yes, the Alien franchise has lost its magic as of right now, which is why they pulled the plug on the... you remember... Neil Blomkamp was going to try to do an Alien one. That kind of got put on the back burner for Ridley Scott's films, and then Ridley Scott's films didn't do well financially. I think they probably shelved Ridley Scott, because Ridley Scott said he was going to do more, but I don't really think the studio is going to pay for it. And the Neil Blomkamp ones got shelved permanently, so yeah, I think they've lost its magic so far. Could come back, but I don't see any studio taking a chance on it anytime soon. All right, Dylan Foreman writes, "Hey, John, love the show." Thank you so much, Dylan. That 70s show is still my favorite sitcom. Maybe it's because of my name. Dylan Foreman. What are your thoughts on the show? I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan. It's one of those shows that's kind of like Big Bang Theory, that a lot of people I knew watched it and loved it, and I tried 3 or 4 episodes, and after about 3 or 4 episodes, I just went, I do not see why people find this funny. But that's just me, because it's subjective, especially comedy. Comedy is very, very subjective. So, I mean, I've got this one buddy who totally loves Big Bang Theory. Him and his wife, like, even have gone to a couple of tapings of it. Like, love it. And he looks at me strange whenever I say, I don't like that show. He looks at me like, I just said, like, I don't like breathing air. But I got the same reaction years ago when that 70s show was on and saying, yeah, I tried it. It's just, I didn't find it to be all that clever. But not that I trash on it or that I think anybody who likes it shouldn't like it. Not at all. I mean, if you like it, that's great. But I got to admit, it was one of the shows that really wasn't for me. So, yeah. Sorry about that. I wish I could talk more about it. I mean, but look, it launched the careers. Like, Mila Kunis is a household name because of that show. Now, she went on and did even bigger and better things. But if it wasn't for that 70s show, we wouldn't know her. We wouldn't know... oh, and now I'm freezing on Dude, Where's My Carboy? Anyway, that launched him, like, really gave him the big leg up. I mean, some people would have recognized him already, but that gave him... So, I mean, it was an influential show. It's been off the air for a while, but people still know the name That 70s Show. So it was a pretty big deal in the world of sitcoms. Not quite one that I enjoyed, but that's okay. I don't need to enjoy everything. But it was pretty relevant and pretty important to a lot of people. All right, DAL Official writes... if you were in charge of the next Narnia film, would you start with a reboot or keep the story going? Oh, well, considering everybody ditched on the story, there's really no reason to continue on with the story. Like, I'll say, let me just double check something here. Narnia Movies box office. Okay, so Chronicles of Narnia Movies at the box office. Okay, so let's see. They all descended. They all went down in the amount of money that they made. So, like, the 2005, The Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I really like. I really like that movie, to be honest with you. It made worldwide $745 million, which is great. Like, that's awesome. Then in 2008, they did Prince Caspian, and it nosedived. It went down to 419. Now, 419 is still no... that's nothing to sneeze at. That's still an okay amount of money. Then the Chronicles of Narnia Voyage of the Dawn Treader came out, went down even more, down to 415. But also, on top of the finances declining, it seemed like the audience reception to the films declined as well. When you have both declining over a span of that many films, and it never had like a big... It's not like Chronicles of Narnia was a big series in, you know, in the 1990s. and had a strong base and then had a few more films. It's like it started off one big film and then it kind of declined from there. And the audience reception declined. The critic response declined. I honestly, to me, what's the point in continuing that story? What's the point? So, and especially since the last one was like 8 years ago, I'd say if you're going to do another one, if you're going to do it, I wouldn't even say it's a good idea to do another one, but if you're going to do another one, I say reboot. Reboot it, start again so you can start a cinematic franchise again, because why build on something that was falling apart? Just start from scratch. And so that's personally what I would do. That's what I would do. All right, next one comes to us from Akeem, and Akeem writes, I've been using the hell out of my A-list. I love it. I have been using mine quite a bit too. I've seen 4 films with it now in 2 weeks, which is great. And the last movie I went to go see with it, I kid you not, 100%, I don't have my phone here, I'll show it to you on my phone. 100%, this is absolutely true. The last thing I saw with it, which was 2 nights ago, I went to go watch Skyscraper with it, right? In the Dolby Cinema and AMC. The ticket was $23.78. The ticket was $23.78. No problem, I got my A-list that I paid 20 bucks for. And oh, by the way, I saw 3 other movies with it already too. So this one movie, paid for it. Right there. I was able to book my ticket in advance. I was able to select my seat. I was able to go to a premium theater like the Dolby, none of which you could do with a movie pass or anything else. Super happy with it, man. You're right. I've been using the hell out of my A-list too. I've been really enjoying it so far. Let's see. Paul Diego writes, hey, John, congrats on your nominations. Thank you so much, Paul. Been a fan since your AMC days. Keep up the good work. The AMC days were good days, weren't they? Well, thank you so much. It is crazy how many people keep telling me that they've been following that long. What's even crazier than the AMC days was a long time ago. I've got a number of people who've been watching me since the movie blog. I mean, and that's some hefty stuff. That's going back a ways. Like since the movie blog. And actually, you know what? Let me open my calendar here for a second because I'm going to forget what day it is. It might be when I'm in... here it is, July 24th. Tuesday, July 24th, is going to be the 15-year anniversary of when I started in film punditry. I thought it was like June 3rd, but I double-checked. It actually was July 24th. July 24th, 2003 is when I put up my first post of I created a website and put up my first post on this little website I had called The Movie Blog. And it was a post about Seabiscuit, the horse movie Seabiscuit. It's about how a new trailer just come out, and it's a period piece horse movie, and they put in this techno music. And I remember I wrote this article called Suddenly Seabiscuit Thinks It's the Matrix. And that was my very first article that I wrote on my brand new website, The Movie Blog. And July 24th, 1 week from this coming Tuesday, is going to mark the 15-year anniversary of me being involved in film punditry. So it's crazy. But again, it is nuts how many people say they've been following all the way back since AMC. But there are even other people that go further back than that who have been like watching my stuff ever since the Movie Blog days, which is just crazy. But anyway, thanks for your well wishes, Paul. I really appreciate that. Okay, next, Akeem follows up with, and congrats on the nomination. We love your work. Thank you so much, Akeem. I appreciate that. Jake C. writes, why even announce The Rock as BA? BA? So doing, Black Adam. Why even announce, are they doing another A-Team movie? Why even announce The Rock as BA? It's been years. Well, okay, so here's the thing. We've been talking about this Black Adam situation because, you know, it was 4 years ago that they officially announced The Rock was Black Adam. 4 years. There were talks of him being Black Adam all the way back to like 2010, right? So the question, why did they even announce him? Why even announce him? Well, the reason is this. Because we all know how topsy-turvy everything's been at Warner Brothers, but particularly just when it comes to the DC stuff they have. I guarantee you when they announced The Rock as Black Adam, The plan was not in 5 years. That wasn't the plan. The plan was probably sometime the following year they were going to start shooting a movie with him in it. It was probably going to be Shazam. So they were probably going to do a Shazam movie back then that probably then got scrapped. Then they reevaluated, what do we do with Black Adam? Blah, 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 blah. And now here we are 4 years later. So the reason they announced him at the time was that, sorry, I'm getting messages from people, a lot of stuff about the John Schnepp situation. Anyway, sorry, that distracted me for a moment. At the time, when they announced it, I'm sure they had a plan for in the next year or two, we were going to have him on screen. But things happened, things changed, upheaval, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, why did they even announce him? I think because they weren't planning on this, on us having to wait this long. I'm sure that wasn't the plan. If they were planning out, they wouldn't have announced it at the time. They just would have sat on that. But they did, and then things, you know, there's been a lot of upheaval, and a lot of things have changed at Warner Brothers. They've gone through like 3 different leadership changes in the past 4 or 5 years. Now we've got Walter Hamada is in charge over there. So let's wait and see how that all turns out. All right, Luke M. writes, favorite TV villain? Ooh, Ramsay Bolton, Walter White. I don't know that I qualify Walter White as a villain. I know he himself said, I know Bryan Cranston once himself said that Walter turns into a villain. I never saw him as the villain per se. Trinity Killer Dexter. Ah, yes, that was great. Lucretia from Spartacus. Love Spartacus. Newman. Newman from Seinfeld. Villanelle from Killing Eve. By the way, I watched Killing Eve. It's a BBC America show with Sandra Oh in the lead. And it's this little show, but I saw some reviews for it that were great. And one day I was like I've got a treadmill desk in here. And I've got a big monitor on it. So sometimes I get on the treadmill and just watch some TV. And I thought, oh, I'll watch an episode of this Killing Eve thing. I got hooked. And I binged the entire first season in 3 days. It's great. If you've not seen Killing Eve, you should watch it. And the girl who plays like the antagonist of the film is, first of all, Sandra Oh is awesome in it. But this other girl is incredible. Incredible. You got to check it out when you get a chance. Jodie Comer kills it in that show. Any to add? Well, going back to the whole Breaking Bad thing, Gustav Fring? Was it Gustav? Am I mispronouncing? Anyway, Fring was, I mean, he was a villain, right? I loved him in that. Crowley in Supernatural is fantastic. Oh gosh, I feel like I've got this itch in my brain that there's 1 or 2 other really big ones that I love, and I just can't pull them off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a great tradition of wonderful TV villains. You named some of the great ones. But again, guys, check out this Killing Eve show. It's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It's great intrigue, a great thriller. It's got some good humor in it. Love the characters. Just check it out. And this girl is a badass. This villain in it is just awesome. All right, let's move on here. Brandon Martin writes, Ken Watanabe in Godzilla. The arrogance of man is believing that nature is in our control and not the other way around. Well, never mind, I guess. Okay, so where this is coming from was the other day on the John Campia show, we talked about a bit of news that one of the cast members of Godzilla 2, Vera Farmiga, said that her character in the film has a way of communicating with and controlling the giant monsters. And okay, that's one comment. It's out of context. Who knows what that really means, right? It could mean anything. But I just said on the show that, you know, at face value, that worries me a little bit because, see, to me, the underlying mythos of Godzilla is a philosophical statement that despite how much man, this is what I said on the show. Pardon me. This is what I said on the show, that despite the fact, like, mankind really believes we've got it all under control. Like, we are the apex of everything. Everything is within our control. We control everything, right? And to me, the underlying philosophical imperative of Godzilla was like a cautionary parable of how there are things outside of our control. like Godzilla is a reminder of the power of nature and the universe, really. Things that are and will forever be outside of our control, and that's a part of life. And Godzilla, to me, was a big, giant metaphor of there are things about, particularly in nature, that are beyond our control. So the concept of a character that can control the monsters seems like an antithesis to what the underlying philosophy of what a Godzilla is. So it just concerns me. But then again, we're taking the comment without a lot of context, so maybe it could mean anything. But yeah, quoting that Ken Watanabe quote is a very, I wish I had thought of that. That's a great quote to throw at that situation. Thanks for bringing that up, Brendan. All right. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, less than 2 months until Spider-Man PS4. Getting the collector's edition. Apparently the bottom part of the raft statue they haven't revealed is a spoiler, but my curiosity will get the best of me. I'm not familiar, I'm familiar that the new game is coming. I've had a lot of people texting me and tweeting to me talking about that. And a part of this game is that you get this special collectible figure, right? Or statue or whatever. And I think there's a couple of games that are doing that. I think didn't God of War come with a collectible figure if you bought a certain edition of the game, that it came with a collectible statue? Anyway. So I haven't seen the Spider-Man statue myself, so I don't know. I do know that a lot of people have been writing to me saying they're very, very excited about this Spider-Man game, and I think a bunch of people have already pre-ordered it and everything. So let's keep our eyes open. But Razor's Edge, when you get this thing, show it to us. Let us know what it is you're talking about. I'd love to get my eyes on it, man. All right. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Justin Luchak, who writes, ever doing Arrow or Flash reviews again with Anne? Probably not, because here's the thing. Arrow is so hit and miss with me. Like right now, I think Arrow's on an upswing right now. But it's been so that what I'd hate to do is start doing an after show reviews of a show that I don't like. I don't want to do that. Because then all I'm doing is, like, people tune in to after shows to hear other people say that they love the shows that they love themselves. That's, like, people watch after shows to hear people say how much they love this show. That's why people watch after shows. And I get that. I do. I totally get it. And that's why when I loved Arrow, I was more than happy to do an Arrow after show because I loved the show. What happened is, about into season 3, I felt it started to lose its way. I stopped enjoying the show. And I gave up watching the show. And which is too bad because I really like the lead, Stephen Amell. I think he's fantastic. I just don't think the writers give him a show worthy of the cast and the subject matter that they have. But I will say, because, you know, a bunch of people say, hey, John, this past season, it took a little bit of an upswing. And there was one episode of Arrow this year that kind of focused on the villain. And I forget the name of this, something about the dragon. Anyway, and it was an episode that something they've never done before, really, that really just focused on the villain. And it was one of the best, it's got to be one of the top 3 best episodes of the Arrow show. But it's also got to be in the top 3 or 4 or 5 best episodes of any of the CW DC shows. It was a magnificent episode, and the season finished strong. So it's on a bit of an upswing, but what I don't want to do is start doing an after show, then get 6 episodes into season 6 or 7, whatever season they're going into, and realize, I don't like the show again, then ditch on the show again. You know what I mean? So, and I did not love this season of Flash. This was the first season of Flash that I did not really enjoy. So, yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be doing more. Now, I might do after shows again for other TV shows. That may happen. But it probably won't be Flash or Arrow. Just because I'm too iffy on them. And what I don't want to do is start doing one, then have to pull the plug on it, like I did with the Arrow show before. I don't want to have to do that again. So that's just my thoughts. MDB3000 writes, did Miami Vice tank Michael Mann's career? Just seems he has lost his way as a director since. Well, first of all, I don't think Miami Vice was all that bad. There are some people who say Miami Vice was terrible. I didn't think it was all that bad. It was definitely one of his worst films. But it wasn't all that bad. Michael Mann in the 90s especially the early 90s, had like a real hot streak going. Like he was one of the, if he was probably the hottest director in the business for a while. Because he had Last of the Mohicans was out. Then after Last of the Mohicans was Heat, which a lot of people consider to be his best film. Then after that came The Insider, which is my favorite film that he's done. Then after The Insider came Ali, which is just ridiculously good. And then it was sometime after Ali that he did Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Collateral. Collateral is great. And then he did Miami Vice. I think Miami Vice was like 2006, 2007, something like that. And you had Colin Farrell, Jamie Foxx. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great. I haven't watched it 5 times. I think I probably watched it twice. I didn't think it was bad. But that didn't kill his career. Because just 3 years, and he was doing a film like every 2 to 3 years anyway, just like 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later, he came out with another big high-profile film called Public Enemy. Or Public Enemies. I can't remember if it's plural or singular. Anyway, Johnny Depp, I think Christian Bale was in it, where he played this, Johnny Depp played this gangster. And that movie did not live up to its expectations. Because it looked awesome. It had a lot of high-profile names. You had Michael Mann directing, and it did not live up to expectations. And it was after that we really, I think it was a long lull. It was after Public Enemy that we had like a 5 or 6 year stint without seeing anything until 2015, I want to say. He did that little movie with Chris Hemsworth called Black Hat. That was awful. Just awful. Like, nobody even ever wants to mention that film. It was just terrible. And the fact that it was a Michael Mann film, and the fact that it had Chris Hemsworth, who was a big star, big hot star right now, and it was just horrible. And the trailers looked terrible. And the movie was even worse than the trailers looked. And it tanked, and it's just brutal, 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 brutal. But I would say that, no, if anything killed his momentum, I don't think, I mean, Miami Vice hurt his momentum. I think if there's anything that really put the brakes on his momentum, it was probably Public Enemies. And then if there was any life left in his momentum, it was then completely shut down 5, 6, 7 years later with Black Hat. So anyway, there might be inside Hollywood stories there to tell that I don't know about, but that's just kind of how I see it. Interesting question. All right, next up, just got time for a couple more here. Luna Comics writes, I don't like the Shazam costume. It looks too much like PJ's. I gotta tell you, Luna, I'm iffy on it too. I am. And look, I got really excited, first of all, when they announced the director. I got really excited when they announced the star, because I'm a big Zach Levi fan. I like the direction it's going. I like that they're going to go lighthearted with it, especially with the kid involved. I mean, that just makes sense. But I'm going to say, yeah, I'm not feeling the costume. I mean, ultimately, maybe we'll like the costume more in the movie. Even if we don't like the costume in the movie, who cares? It's just a costume. But yeah, I will admit, Luna, I'm kind of with you. I remain iffy at best. I remain iffy at best on the costume. Doesn't look great to me. But then again, maybe that's the point. Maybe once we get the context of it in the movie, we go, oh, okay, now I get it. Well, in that case, the costume looks perfect. If that's what this is supposed to be, right now we don't know what the context is, but maybe once we see the movie, we're in the context, we'll go, oh, okay, I get it. That costume is actually perfect now. Who knows? Maybe that'll happen. But even if it doesn't, who cares? It's just a costume. But I agree. I'm not feeling it right now. Brian Esparza writes, movies in the foreseeable future to pass the Avatar record, none. 0. There are no films on the horizon that have any shot at catching Avatar. On the horizon, like on the horizon is movies we know that are coming out next 3 to 4 years. Nothing. Nothing. I mean, Avengers Infinity War with all of its buzz couldn't even catch Star Wars The Force Awakens. And Star Wars The Force Awakens is miles behind Avatar. Like, for anything to catch it, You would have to have a new movie come out, make the same amount of money that Star Wars The Force Awakens did, and add a Wonder Woman entire box office run on top of that. That's how far ahead it is. Like, guys, it's not close. Let's put this into perspective here. All-time, worldwide, put this in perspective. Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is the #3 all-time worldwide box office film, is at $2,068 million, right? Just a hair behind it is Avengers Infinity War at $2,041 million. Just a hair above Star Wars The Force Awakens is Titanic at $2.18 billion. And then there's this massive canyon of distance, and you got Avatar at almost at $2.8 billion. So for a movie to catch Avatar, it has to make as much as The Force Awakens and add almost another $800 million on top of that. Or an entire Wonder Woman box office run. No, Avengers 4 is not going to... I remember having this debate with people who were so mad at me. Like, this was about a month or two before Avengers Infinity War came out. And people were screaming at me, Avengers Infinity War is going to catch Avatar. It's going to catch Avatar. It's Avatar. I'm like, I know it is not going to catch Avatar. It's not even going to come within a whiff of Avatar. I said, I think it'll catch Star Wars The Force Awakens. It didn't, but I thought it would. I said, I think it'll catch Star Wars The Force Awakens. And it might have an outside chance at catching Titanic. But it is not going to catch Avatar. I mean, come on, let's be serious here. And I'm sure when Avengers 4 is coming out, we'll have the same conversation. There's going to be people who are 100% convinced that Avengers 4 will catch Titanic. I'm telling you right now, Avengers 4 is not going to catch Avatar. I'm telling you right now, Star Wars Episode 9 is not going to catch Avatar. They're just not. Someday, something will catch it. But there's nothing on the docket right now that has a prayer. There's nothing on the docket right now of upcoming films that has the remotest prayer of catching it. And that's unfortunate, but that is the way it is right now. It just is. Like, again, the two biggest candidates are your Avengers 4 and Star Wars, Star Wars Episode 9. Star Wars Episode 9 will make in the high billion. It'll be 1.5, 1.7. It'll be in that neighborhood. It's going to come way short. Avengers 4, I will join the $2 billion club. Maybe 2.1, maybe 2.2. Maybe it'll catch Titanic. It ain't catching Avatar. It's just wait. Because again, keep that in perspective. You're talking about making how much Star Wars The Force Awakens made, and then the entire run of Thor Ragnarok or Spider-Man Homecoming or Wonder Woman, whatever, another entire big blockbuster movie on top of that. It ain't happening. It ain't. Someday it will. But there's nothing on the docket right now that's going to catch it. It's just the math is just not in its favor. But someday, maybe Avengers 5, maybe Star Wars Episode 10, maybe a rebooted, maybe 5 years down the line, a rebooted DC Cinematic Universe and a new Justice League comes out that's hot and everybody loves, and maybe that becomes the film that catches it. I don't know. Something down the road. I'm just saying that there's nothing on the radar right now that has a prayer of catching Avatar. I mean, it just put in perspective how huge that damn movie is. All right, guys, that will do it for this installment of the companion video. I'm going to be doing another one that'll... I don't know what, for whatever reason, but I turned my entire screen off. Anyway, that will do it for now. I will be back again with another companion video. Don't forget, guys, on Monday morning, 8:30 in the morning, we got the John Campia Show. That's our main show. Run down all the big important movie news of the day and giving you context and what it all means. The whole point of the John Campia Show is to make that when you watch my show, that when you're talking to your buddies about movies, you know more about what's going on in the world of movies than all your buddies do. That's what we're here for. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for joining me. Going to try this Fade to Black thing again. My name's John Campia, and until next time, bye-bye.